This is the Uprising Revival channel. Welcome to today's show. Again, I'm going to try and speak in code here so I can get my message out because I want you to see the pattern here. You're going to see this repetition. Why are you going to see repetition? Because they're going to beat it into people's heads so that they just repeat this over and over again and then suddenly believe that the lie is true, because that's how this works. Repetition, the key to mind control. Period. I mean, the easiest example is to use the school system. You learn a lie, a history of the world lie, a history of space lie, every year over and over from a young age when your brain is still a sponge up until the point your brain stops developing. At least, your brain never stops developing, but at least to a point where this entire history is beaten into your head without you ever having to see it with your own eyes. Thus, you believe a lie. And then you're pushed out into the world believing a lie for the rest of your life, which is what we're dealing with, right? People who we can't wake up because they believe in the lie because it's been indoctrinated into them and ingrained in them so deeply. Well, this is what we're going to hear now, because this is going to be the new motto for what's going on over in Bagel Land. Okay? It's going to be this. What happened and what is happening in Bagel Land is 10 times worse than the event that occurred on the 11th day of the month of September. And you're going to hear it over and over and over. Why are you going to hear it? Because it's going to work on the zombie. Because the zombie is going to look at this, because to the zombie, the current zombie that's alive, it's the most tragic event in their minds. It's the biggest, most chaotic event that's happened in the news in America in their mind. So it's very important here in America that it's ingrained in their mind that that day on the 11th of the month of September, that day was nothing compared to what's happening right now. So the sympathy that will be garnered for this group of people who you cannot ask questions about, you cannot speak of, will be unimaginable, and it will be unpenetratable. And that's the point. Because once that wall is built up, then this game is essentially over that they're playing. And this game is about truth. This game is about people learning what's actually happening. And this game that they're controlling is the game of speech. And they will shut it down completely with this that's happening right now. And little do the zombies out there know that the same people that are playing the victims are the same people responsible for all of it. All of it. But it's already ingrained in them. You call someone anti-blank, they're anti-blank. What does that mean? It means if you say anything negative about them, you're anti-blank. So it means if I question their book that teaches about young kids and what they can do to them, that makes me anti-blank? Yes, it does. That's what they say. Because they're completely under mind control, because of the repetition. That's why you learn that history in school over and over. Whether that history was true or not, we all know that it wasn't true. And we know that that number that they told us about that event that ends in the word cost wasn't true, right? But now, like I've said for years, I've said they're going to need a new one because people are going to wake up. Did I not say it? Anybody? I don't know if anyone here is still, someone from the get-go. I know a couple of people comment, but I do know a lot of times people forget who is who and who said what. But for anyone who literally has followed my channel from the beginning, I've talked about all these events that have occurred, how they have to make this specific group of people the victims, and they're going to need another event before people realize who's behind all this, because they're going to start getting suspicious as to all these things that are becoming prominent, all these disgusting perversions that they're normalizing, because it all goes back to a same group of people who have been run out of every country they've ever been in. So now we're going to hear this, and you're going to hear it, I guarantee you, in the next month. You'll be out somewhere, you'll be with a relative, you'll be at a party, you'll be at a bar, and if this subject comes up of what's going on over there, somebody's going to say that it's 10 times worse than the event that happened on the 11th of the month of September. And that's how hard, by the way, I'm working to get around the algorithm, by even speaking like that. But I know everyone here is smart enough to understand. So they're going to tell you this. Why? In addition to the sympathy that needs to be built out, the sympathy that they need everyone to have for them so that no one's suspicious, kind of like how the Freemasons go to the Shriners, go to the children's hospitals, because who's the last person you would think would be responsible for any of these disturbing acts? With the young people. Well, it'll be them, right? Because that's exactly how this wall that they build works. That's why when I do videos on them, people come over and comment and they go, they did so much for our local town child's hospital. They did something for my son. Oh, right. Do you know how they operate? Do you know how they believe their good deeds outweigh their bad deeds? So they may have helped with your son's surgery with money that you probably donated to them in the first place, or your taxes did. And at the meantime, to them, that means that it's okay for them to do all sorts of other disgusting acts with those young people. Okay? but because they build a wall around them. Literally, ironically, right, with this term wall, wasn't it just a wall that supposedly is open in America that people are running through, and over there a wall just got ripped open for people to run through? Pretty ironic, right? But that's what it is. They've built up a wall. So you'll be around somebody and they'll continue to say this. Oh yeah, that's going to be the motto of all of this. 10 times, not just worse. They want to make sure that it's 10 times worse. Because again, in America, anybody right now who's in their 40s, 30s, let's say 30s, 40s, 50s and up, they probably weren't here for Pearl Harbor. But when, we were younger, people like myself, all we heard about was Pearl Harbor. Oh, Pearl Harbor, never forget Pearl Harbor, right? And then the new Pearl Harbor became the event on the 11th of September, right? So in everybody's lifetime, the trauma that they have, there is some type of trauma that's linked to that event, whether they knew somebody that was there and died, or just the fact that they were glued to their television set watching it day in and day out so that they can go chase the boogeyman who wasn't even alive at the time that this happened, when the real boogeyman, coincidentally, is the same people. The boogeyman from the 11th day of September is the same people. The people behind it, it's the same people who are behind exactly what's going on over in Bagelland. And no, it's not the people who are wearing those turbans on their heads. It's not them. It's the ones who are playing victim, the ones you can't ask or point a finger to. So while we had all these nice little false narratives out there after the 11th day of the month of September, none of those narratives were true. Those narratives were to feed into the conspiracy mindset so that people who were suspicious would just get a little something out of it to go, oh yeah, there is something behind it, but we don't know what. But it's about oil and money. And it's about all these people, Dick Cheney, they had their money in stocks and they made money with it. They made money. Easiest deception in the book. The people out there who spew about how it's about money. It's about control. It's about world domination. It's not about money. And that event wasn't about money. It was about sacrifice and many other things that came from it, including the Patriot Act, including your rights being stripped. Now, again, will anyone ask the question, did you see the video I did on 23andMe? Look at the video if you didn't see it yet. Okay, I only have a few videos up over on this channel now. The video on 23andMe. What about 23andMe? Well, a specific group of people, a specific bloodline is being targeted by an invisible boogeyman hacker. How convenient. And why does that person just want to know their name and their gender and if they're part of the bloodline? Oh, I don't know. Could they be pretending for a big false flag event to continue to victimize this specific group? This specific group's just going to become not just the victims of supposedly the people over there who just ran in through the most secured border in the world and took care, and did all this stuff to them supposedly. Well, guess who's the next in line? You and me. Because the next people that they're going to do these psyops and these false flags around are going to be Christians. And that's when I believe we're going to see the separating of the wheats and the tares. Because most Christians are deceived about exactly who these people are over there. They don't want to think past the actual literal word in the Bible that starts with is, okay, and ends with rail. They don't want to look past that word. When they see that word, their brain's just processing it and automatically saying that that's them. That's them. Protect them. They're victims. This, that. They don't realize who they are. They don't realize the hijacking. They don't realize what the book of Revelation is speaking of. And the next thing up, with stories like this, like I just covered from 23andMe, with stories about how it's going to be 10 times, or how it already is 10 times worse than that day that we all know is the worst day, as they told us over 20 years is the worst day in the history of America, right? We're starting to see why they use that narrative. The worst day in the history of America is all we heard. Worse than Pearl Harbor. Well, now we have something 10 times worse than the worst day in the history of America, which will mean that you can never even blink at this specific group of people. And if you do, even if you question what's in their books, even if you read it and it says something about kids, how dare you? How dare you even open the book to make an allegation? Oh, wait, it's right here in the words. That's an allegation that's anti this. Oh, okay. You need to go to prison now. If the people only knew that the same people responsible for that day are the ones responsible for what's going on now. I know I keep saying it, but just sitting here shaking my head at how hard it is to even get content up talking about this topic, which is so important for so many people. But Christians are next. So what I was saying about the separating the wheat and the tares, I know we've looked at, and I talked about this on the website, Uprising Revival. I know we've looked at a lot of the stuff going on with how the church has allowed reprobates into the church. They're allowing people who are tucking between their legs to go speak at church. It's just an abomination. We all agree it's an abomination. It's disgusting. But people are looking at that as a separation of the wheat and tares. But this leads into that because that same group are the same types of lukewarm Christians who fall into the deception of what's going on over there. Okay? The Muslim people, the people of Palestine, these people are all, what you see with them is the same thing that's going to happen to all us Christians. It's one domino at a time. Christians are going to be fully divided because the majority of them are going to go along with those specific people because they don't know any better. And that's why they want to silence everyone. That's why they put stuff like this out there so they can auto-silence anything on it. You have to speak in code. And guess what? They're going to train the algorithm before they train it in anything else, even the one-niner, even the outbreak. They're going to train it to make sure it knows every single code word we use to make sure that these people are protected because that's the main thing. That's numero uno. That cannot be discussed. That has to be protected at all costs. Yeah, if you say that if you talk about the oxide, et cetera, we'll throw you off YouTube, et cetera, but your video might be up for a little period of time. But we're going to train the algorithm to even know what a bagel is. We're going to train the algorithm to even know what this is. That way the word can never get out. But we'll just constantly change the language because I don't care what they say about AI and how smart AI is. It'll never outsmart a human ever. As long as the human's critically thinking, as long as the human has the Holy Spirit, it'll never lose to these things. Ever, ever, ever. Ever, under any circumstance. So we're now in a waged battle here. And in previous videos too, I've talked about that dome that needs to be destroyed. That's part of the plan here. That's part of the plan because they never would be able to destroy that thing and put in that third temple unless they were looked at on a world perspective as the big victims. Now, I put a video up on Uprising Revival. If you're over there, make sure you watch it. About the guy who runs that place that loves cream cheese and bagels so much that he talked about how the world, they are going to win. And when they win, the world wins. Very eerie terms from these people and what they're doing. You know, and they love to go, these people. There's another word that they love to use that they programmed us with from Seinfeld, etc., in our pop culture. They've programmed us, ladies and gentlemen. They even programmed you with the narrative around the 11th day of September. Now they're reprogramming you with it because they know it's ingrained in you as the worst day in American history. Even though I can think of some, well, I don't want to say one's worse than the other when you know who's behind it because, of course, it's a wicked event. Well, you got McMartin, you got Waco. I mean, there's events that were not as many people perished, which were disgusting, like Ruby Ridge, right? Oklahoma. I mean, many, many things, including all the stuff with their Manchurian candidate cereal, what's that they put out there and rolled out to the public, like Bundy, like Manson. So there's a lot of things we can all look at, right? But we all know when they say, what's the worst day in American history? Everybody who's alive right now says that 11th day of the month of September. Every one of them. So again, I don't mean to repeat myself. Think about how ingrained that is, though. And now watch. I'm telling you, watch how many times you hear it. You know how I know this? Because when you watch their patterns, you can see it. If you're critically thinking, if your brain is turned on, you'll hear each person, each talking head over and over because they all have the same script. It's all being passed down. Say this, say this, say this. It'll become the new motto. 10 times worse than da-da-da-da-da. 10 times worse than da-da-da-da-da. 10 times worse than da-da-da-da-da. And then you'll start hearing the zombies around you say it. Just make sure you don't believe it. Make sure you're prepared and ready, that you're alert to deflect on it, to give them actual truth, to say, nope, not even going to listen to it. You don't even know what you're saying. Why are you saying that? Well, because the TV showed me this and that. No, they won't even say that because they won't even know why they're saying it because they have no evidence of it other than hearing it over and over again. And now when something's 10 times worse than the worst event in American history, the people who are victims of that event 10 times worse will be propped up even more than they already are. They'll become even more untouchable than they already are, which is absolutely frightening to me. And the rest of us will be targets to them. And watch out again, like I said in that 23andMe video, the targets are going to be Christians. That's what's coming next. And many are going to be led astray. And they're going to call Christians, true Christians aren't going to be called Christians anymore. They're not. And that's fine by me because it's just a term. Because the term, it's more of a religious term than anything else. I'm a follower of Christ. And I know many people who follow my channel are followers of Christ. I don't need a denomination. I don't need a title for it. I say Christians, because it's the basic term. So if somebody new finds my channel, they know what I'm talking about. Right? But they're going to divide it where that term is going to be specifically for the people who support that specific place. The rest of us are just going to be lumped into this alt-right. That's what they're going to call us. We're followers of Christ. They're like, you're alt-right extreme then because you don't support this certain place. Because they know that we know that they're the ones responsible for all of this. And they'll do everything they can to silence us. And it's not just taking down YouTube channels. It's changing laws and rules around us. So let me know if you've heard anyone repeat it yet. because you will. I promise you. And if you do, if you really actually hear someone repeat it, please let me know, because it'll make me just laugh, because it's just unbelievable how easy it is to see their programming. Repetition, pattern. Repetition, pattern. Beat it into your head. Wash, rinse, repeat, however the saying goes. Reminder, check out the website, Uprising Revival. And again, please sub to my channel. Link below, United Uprising. I have to build it out. This one's going to be gone quick, especially with this type of content. Right now, they're allowing me to get it up because I'm able to, like I said earlier, the other channel, whatever I'm uploading, even if I'm uploading something on Mickey Mouse, it's automatically going into the daemon, which means that it's just a precursor that the channel's getting thrown out. It's just getting sucked into the algorithm now. This one is still out of it, but it looks like the window is 4 weeks for each channel. So I really have to build a channel for every 4 weeks. So I need to be ahead. So I'm going to need another one after United Uprising, especially after this with Eye for an Eye. So please do me that favor. Sub to it now. Try to let the videos play over there so I can get that one done and move on to the next. But I got to do it one at a time. So I need all of your help in doing that. I thank you for being here. Hope you're all doing well. Thanks again for subbing to the channels. I appreciate you guys. Hope to see you on the website as well, uprisingrevival.com. God bless all of you as always and your families.